All right, let's get started. Beginning with the feet together, hands on the head, and big hip circles. Focusing on making the circles complete. Change directions. Widen that stance a bit. Rotating the pelvis back as the body comes forward. Pelvis forward as the body comes up. Keeping that belly drawn to the back. Good. From here, bringing the stance in a little bit, sink, toe lift. Again, as I sink down, the back is straight, belly is drawn in, lift, hips come forward, arms go back. Do 10 of these. Last one. Widening that stance a bit. Again, back straight. Turn and look past the hand. And now the swoop. 10 more. Last one. Okay. Feet a bit wider than shoulder width. Same basic movement as the first exercise, only now the hip comes back, the body swoops. Turn and swoop. Making sure you're never hyperextending the knee. There's always be a little bit of bend in the joints. Two more. Last one. Change directions. Focusing on that circle. Make sure it's a complete circle on the hips. Two more. Ça va bien, last one. Okay, shake it out. Focusing on that right leg, external rotation. First few turns, just making sure the circle is smooth. From there, adding in our three basic postural elements, the foot grab, the belly draw, and that head neck lift. Switching legs, same thing. Create the shape first. Once the shape feels smooth, grab with the toes. It will decrease kind of the amplitude of the movement, but will give it more focus. So you draw in with the belly, you can carry that movement up into your core. And as you raise the head neck, you can move the power all the way with your body, making it accessible to all of your different body parts. You can follow with your ears if you want to. I'm not sure why you would. Figure eights. And one circle draws into the next. Good, continue. Excellent. Pulling ground with your toes, drawing a complete circle side to side. Relax in the middle. Right leg, internal rotation. Play with that shape, creating a complete arc around, in, passing back and through. When the shape feels good, add in the foot draw, and then the umbilical pull to the back, and finally that head neck raise. Changing sides. Again, first few focus on the shape. And then adding in the feet, the belly, and the neck. And figure eights, drawing in one side, pulling around to the next, pulling around to the next. Hey, Fritz. You go lie down. It's pretty late. That's rough. What kind of ghost? Dark ghost? There are no evil ghosts in our house. We checked. All right, coming back to neutral. Shake that off for a moment. We're going to do a bit of work with Zhang Shuiyan's line drills and warm-ups for today, starting with the shoulder drop. And again, for that shoulder drop, the shoulder's coming up and forward kind of naturally, so not artificially lifting and drawing into my ears like this. Just letting the arms roll back and forward. So play with that nice and easy, just rocking the elbows. Notice how the angle of my forearm, the upper arm, is consistent all the way through. I'm not bending my elbow anymore, any less than I move through. Just drawing the shoulders forward and back. Play with that for a few moments. Good. Let that roll, don't worry. And now as I lift up, I'm gonna come on my toes for a second, sink. Whole body lifts, whole body drops. Play with that for a moment. Good. Nextly, as you continue with that, make sure that we're still drawing the umbilicus to the spine and the head neck is raising. Very good, very good. So the basic movement's looking good. Now we're gonna add some Lee, some power to it. And the first thing we're gonna do is change the lift from just a lift and raise into an inhalation, lift, raise, exhale forward. Getting used to that breath pattern. On a solid strike, we're always breathing out a little bit, or have a neutral breath. We're never breathing in, because inhalation is a tensing experience, exhalation is a relaxing thing, and allows the power to more evenly come out. Okay? Huh? Princess here. She's afraid of the ghosts in her room. Got it. I told there were no evil ghosts in her room. I checked. Could continue. Good. Okay. Next, as you go up on those toes with the inhalation, lifting the arms up like we're being suspended by our elbows, and then as the elbows drop, the whole body drops. Lift, drop. Lift, 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 drop. Everything drops. Inhale, exhale. Good. The whole body raises up, whole body suspended. Everything sinks. Excellent. The next key to this is making sure that I'm not pushing out with my elbows, right? The arms come up, the elbows are at a fixed angle. I strike, the elbows are at a fixed angle. Raise, strike, raise, strike. The fa li is coming from the shoulders. There are other strikes where the elbows are utilized as part of that whipping fa li. But for this crushing movement, it's just that raise, and then from the core to that drop. Continue for a second. Good. Let gravity drop the arms into place. See, my whole body is relaxed and heavy, and the shake of that press, even kneeling, travels all the way through into the ground. Keep going for a second. Good, April. So make sure, April, that you're hitting a fixed point. There's the raise and the drop. The hands are right here. Same point. Same point. No weirdness forward and back. In the same target each time. Good, Galen. Relax as you drop. Let all the weight sink through your hips into the ground. Good, Kira. Good, very nice. Draw your belly towards your back a little more, Kira, so you can feel that power just dropping into your hips. Let's see a couple, Han.
It's tiring.
It's exhausting. Okay, so we have dropping with the palms. Now we're gonna roll palms up, drop with the fists. Palms down, forward. Uppercut, straight punch. Uppercut, straight punch. Roll to lift, up. Press to pull, out. Roll to lift, up. Press, pull, out. So again, even when I don't go on my toes, I shake the floorboards as the pressure drops into my legs. So as I lift,
That's why I'm reluctant to do this. I live on the second floor.
totally fair reason. That is a legitimate reason not to do this too much.
I'm also having the experience where everything in my room is shaking. It's an old house, so I'm like, I'll just go.
We're gonna move on to this in a second, but you're all doing really well. So last little piece of this before we go on to the next phase of movement. Step, pull yourself up. So I step out, the arms raise and through. That back foot's the plunger, pushing the force through. Step, draw the body up, step, the arm raises, and the back heel pushes everything in. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Kobu, open, xiangbu, strike. Kobu, pull, xiangbu, strike. Ko, draw, step, strike. Ko, draw, step, strike. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even if you don't have a big training shift to work on, you just go back and forth and play with this, get the exact same effect. A couple more moments of this.
Sorry, are you striking on the same foot every time with this, or are you switching feet?
Side to side. So here, right foot forward, left foot strike. So you can kind of add extra steps to it to kind of change it around to make sure you're mixing it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do 2 steps and that automatically switch it for you, or you can kind of change the feet around as you're playing with it. Either way is fine. Or you can do 5 one leg, 5 the other leg. Good, everyone's looking good with this one. Shake it out, any questions? And then in many places, ways you can kind of elaborate on this movement. You can go on to single arms. Once you get the file lead in one angle, you can begin working on morphing it and carrying it all over. So again, the first step is just, what is that shoulder drop for a strike? Once I understand that, I can use a similar mechanic for the roll to over, as I do for the arc, to lift, or the raise, to sink. It's all right there, so long as I have that same body feel of the whole structure lifting and cascading with the movement. Does that make sense? Awesome. So nextly, we're going to do our press to strike, roll to strike. Front hand is palm up, or palm down with it, back hand's palm up. I circle, cross my center line, and as I do, the back hand comes up, palm up, and then turns to cut. Circle, draw, both hands palm up, cut, front hand palm down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do it more quickly. It's roll to strike, roll to strike. Coil. Now this turn, easy to see him over here. It's not just this. It's not just a arm and elbow twisting. The hand twists and the whole body coils behind. I use that draw in as the preload, and then as I strike, you see it's not quite back to neutral, but I use a lot of that concavity to create the elasticity in the strike. I draw through, the body caves in, coiling, pop, coil, pop. Inhale, coil, exhale, pop. Play with that for a second. A little more space in the shoulder, Rachel, a little more angle in the shoulder as you strike through. There you go. Good. Everyone's doing great with this. So, as I go across my floor, I can press, strike to the side, wrap as I step up, strike, coil, feet together, step hit, coil, feet come together, step hit. Notice in my footwork, it's a bit hard to see in the screen on a side profile, but as I strike out, the feet arc in as the hand arcs in. Everything wraps at once. Step to test the water, plunger with that back foot as I strike. Everything wraps, test strike. Good, and so as you're playing with this, the strike can be coming straight in for your nose. There's the clear, there's the coil. Now you have that side angle. And just like Baguazhang wants things to be, I have a clear escape arcing over here. I can also kobo around and re-engage that target. But because I've struck off the side, I have my choice of angles. And we always like those options in multiple opponent styles. So again, going across, strike, coil, strike. Keep going. Very nice, very nice. Any questions so far? Okay, about 30 more seconds, we'll change gears. Good, shake that out. The idea here is the strike is coming in. I enter into their guard. I lift their guard up, press to the heart. The basic hand movement here. Hands hold a ball. I roll that ball to torsion to embrace the heart. The backhand is palm back like I'm throwing something over my shoulder, okay? The reason being is that palm front, though it feels easier, doesn't have that same cross-body connection as the palm back lift. And you can try this out for yourself, right? If my palm is forward, it's really hard to feel how this lift powers this press. But with the palm back, you can really feel how the raise just kind of naturally draws the other arm forward. Play that a couple times each side. Palm lifts, like you're throwing something over your shoulder. Other arm raises as a natural counter to that throwback. Good, good. It's not the most intuitive mechanic, but it's quite effective in close combat, especially as the strike comes in. I clear in, I create that angle, I lift the other arm out of the way, and then I'm right there. Very sneaky, very classically on Baguazhang. And it's the first movement of the linear 64 palms. So as we get to play with this, step, strike, step, strike, step, strike, step, strike. I step back, lift with the front leg, step back, lift with the front leg, step back, lift with the front leg. And so right now, it's going to that very simple lift to press, lift to press. Not worrying about the coil too much yet, just the coordination. Keep playing that for a second. And this exact footwork is one of the main ways that Zhang does palm impact training on trees. You'll see him next to his ginkgo, and he'll just step to strike, back and forth, back and forth. It's one of his favorite early conditioning drills as he starts off his lessons. All right, let's check it out. Rachel. There you go. Good. Scoop to hit. Can I borrow you, Kate? Yeah? Sweet. I have a lovely assistant. Yes. So she reaches in. Okay. I can clear, come to the outside. There's my scoop. Turn the corner. There's my strike right into the ribs. And she can use the other hand too, same side, it's fine. I can lift, strike, closing that angle. And again, first hand. Yep. Yeah. So again, first movement here, right? Press, lift. That lift clears my second hand, so I'm free to come in for that hit. Thank you. All right. So again, lift to strike. Lift, press, strike. Let's try this all together. Right foot steps, right hand turns in, left hand comes up and through, change the angle to hit. Press, lift, strike. Press, lift, strike. More together. Good, couple more. Very nice, Galen. Very nice. As we get across the floor, press, lift to strike. Press, lift to strike. Right? Press, lift to strike. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back and forth. Good, couple more times together. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Side to side. See one more, Rachel? Very nice, very nice. That's right, April. Press, lift, strike. The pressing hand becomes the striking hand. Press, lift, opposite hand, strike. That raised arm, press, lift, strike. Press, lift, strike. A couple more times. Good. Any questions so far? Take a quick breather. Awesome. Okay, about 30-second break. If you want to just watch me for a second. This will be a basic pattern we practice in the temple. There'll just be about 1, 2, 3, back and forth we go. And we would do maybe 50 of those a day. Next up, we're going to do the Yao Chuan, the belt, low back, wrapping punch, okay? I'll demonstrate it first, and I'll break down all the little pieces in it. Angry baby. So from here, Baibu, Kobu, Yebu, strike. Baibu for the foot, Kobu for the foot, Yebu step behind, unwrap into the hit. We're going to do just the footwork first, going into the punch in a second here. So again, for the Baibu, my hips open, right? That opening creates a pull around in a circle. The Kobu is that wrapping closing step. And for this particular strike, it's not a little ko, so we call it a da ko, a big Kobu. And for that, I want to actually step around my foot a little. What that's going to do is make me like a big spinning top. I then step behind, and all that power comes out. Going the other way, open that kwa, Baibu, close the kwa, Kobu, stretch the back, and move through. A couple more times back and forth. Bai, ko, ye, to turn. Bai, ko, ye, to turn. 1, 2, 3. Baibu, Kobu, Yebu. Now watch my Yebu, I don't take both my feet and go plop. That wouldn't be very rooted, right? Rather, one foot turns at a time. The foot that reaches turns first. As soon as that makes significant contact with the ground, it pulls the other foot around. Let's play with that a couple times. Baibu, everything opens. Kobu, everything closes. Yebu, the reaching foot pulls first, and then the kwa closes up. 2 more times like this, nice and slow. Together. Bai, ko, ye, and turn. Last one together. Bai, ko, ye, and turn. Couple more tries by yourselves. Good, just play with that footwork, make it as relaxed as you can. First step opens up the hips. Second step wraps you around a tree. Third step draws you in a straight line. Good, 2 more of those each. Don't worry about the strike yet, just play with that footwork, get comfortable with the basics. Very nice, okay. Let's talk about the hands. So now just the upper. First movement here, the strike. It looks like everything's kind of pressed straight, but it's not. See, there's a roundness traveling all the way through my body. Like I've taken a circle and stretched it into a great big long oval, okay? That oval is really important. If things go too straight, there's no potential energy, and I have to move before I can move. With that stretched oval, that becomes the potential energy that leads me into my next movement, right? So from the oval, I take my Baibu. From there, both hands go palm up. Forward hand, thumb away from me. Near hand, thumb going forward, okay? Let's try that again. From the strike, Bai. Strike, Bai. One more. Strike, Baibu. Now, that far reaching hand is going to wrap over the top as I take my Kobu. Again, pulling that circle, wrapping it around a tree. And that wrapping motion at top mirrors the wrapping motion in the bottom. Everything coils. Let's try that a couple times. Wrap and back. Wrap and back. Good. Excellent, excellent. 2 more. That's looking pretty good. Okay. So we have our set. Baibu, wrap to Kobu. Everything's nice and coiled. The foot steps behind. And now as I turn, I find the circle, and I stretch it oblong into my strike. Other side, Baibu. That far hand wraps up to the opposite shoulder. Kobu. Step out for the Yebu, turn, and there's the hit. And together, Bai, Ko, Ye, strike. Bai, Ko, Ye, strike. Two more together. Bai, Ko, Ye. Remember the reaching foot turns first, pulling the other foot around. As that foot corrects, that finishes the release of the power. Baibu, Kobu, Yebu, turn to hit. And give that a try by yourselves a few times through. Good. Knee to the groin. Okay. So we all have these basics down, right? And even though there's a coil here, it doesn't feel like there's too much oomph yet, right? Is everyone kind of thinking, you know, we have the footwork, we have the hands, but the power generation is a little tricky, right? This is where we add in the most nifty part of the Yaochuan, the back punch, which is that we're not going to maintain that forward drawn back, that forward drawn posture the whole way through. So I have space to go towards the camera here. As I Baibu, notice how there's a little bit of a roll in my back, a little lift, right? That lift draws into the coil. That combination of the raise and sink becomes the power that I express through. Again, as I turn to the side, a little bit of a lift, like my tension's gone up, then I draw everything in. And then the power comes through. Lift, draw, strike. Let's try to get it nice and slow. And here to the side, the Baibu, my focus goes up. I'm in a nice high stance here, relatively speaking, right? That look up arcs my back backwards just a little. As I take that Kobu, I wrap all of that around and in, drawing my center around this post. Now I have this vast amount of potential energy as I step out, and there's the final lead. Bai, start the coil. Ko, pull that coil in. Ye, to hit. Good, a couple more together. Bai, coil, strike. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Watch my arms for a second as I move through this. When I first learned this, I was so taken by the hand movements that I completely missed all the coil behind it. And it took about 1.5 years to figure out what the hell was actually going on here, because there's so much happening in the arms, right? If you get the base down, the arms will naturally follow, okay? In the beginning, it's just that simple 1, 2, pop. But as you get more comfortable, you can see how that transition has all manner of draw behind it that you can turn through. And what's happening from a combat standpoint is you make contact with the partner, you've rolled their guard around, created an opening, stepped into their space, and now as you go into that lower stance, boom, you get that strike opportunity right at the gooey innards. So you're essentially dancing underneath them as you roll in for that forearm hit, which to me is just endlessly nifty.
So when you get all tangled up, you just tango on.
You just pass the tangle along, exactly. Make sense so far, theoretically? Awesome. So let's try a couple, starting nice and slow, adding in speed and pop as everyone feels more and more ready, okay?
So Joey,
Yes.
I'm noticing that my balance got a lot better switching the gaze to the holding spear hands initially.
Yeah.
Would you recommend the gaze on like the forward hand the whole time, or?
The game moves a lot in this one, right? I'll go really slow so you can track. I'm looking at my hand, right? My punching hand, rather. my focus is on that punching hand as it comes up. Then as I kobu, my focus changes to the other hand as it then becomes the punching hand. Punching hand, switch as I turn, punching hand. Still following the hand that hit, change hands in terms of following the eyes, and then around. So as the striking hand becomes the low hand, the gaze turns what is now the high hand. So I'm always focusing on the higher of the two arms. Does that help, Carol? Awesome, awesome. And lastly, again, is focusing on that constant descending level shift, right? Here we're low, but as I Baibu out, notice how I've gone from here, right, the painting behind me, to almost at the top of the frame. That's how this is supposed to be, right? I'm engaging the partner where they are. As I begin to wrap around, see, I've already dropped down a fair degree. As I coil in, as I step, I just continue to descend and pop. And again, that's part to hit the target that I want, but also so I can better use my big muscles in my legs to make that strike come from all of me, from just all of my center out into that hit. Make sense? Let's see all of you give it a try a couple times. Beautiful, Rachel. That was insanely good. 2 more, Rachel. Watch your striking hand a little more. Other than that, it's right about where we want it. Yeah. May I send to Zhang Shuyan tonight? Cool. He'll be happy to see you doing stuff again. Great question, because again, being a pretzel, though a delicious snack, is not where we want to be as people. So as I start, here, as I wrap that around, the foot that's stepping, in this case, is my right foot, as it comes through, it's unweighted. As soon as it hits the ground, I change my feet, okay? If I were to hang out here for too long, that would feel super awkward and not too great, right? Very pretzel-y. And so as I take that kobu, the foot that wraps, once it makes that hard contact, the other foot immediately steps. So it's by, step, step, turn. By, step, step, turn. If you feel
Okay,
pressure,
so your balance is still up at that point.
what's that?
Your weight is still up at that
Oh,
point.
for sure. I was trying to demonstrate like
down.
real, right. So for that next, to that point, as I come through, by, step, step, up, medium, down. Same thing, right? I never have both feet pressing into the ground at the same time. It's just boom, 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 boom. It's a switch back and forth. And so again, as I step around, my heel's up. As soon as the heel comes down, the heel press signifies the beginning of that next step. And then I come through. That way I avoid tangling my legs up and putting any kind of torque on my knees.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, great question. Great question. I didn't bring that up earlier. A very good point.
The other thing is I can feel with the slight movement back that you just added, I can feel that I'm gathering something, and that feels very powerful. And then it dissipates, like half of it is gone by the end of the movement.
And that's the footwork issue.
Okay.
So as the footwork more evenly carries, you'll have to hang on to that power less long. Any charge that you create, and coils are like an electric charge, right? The more time it takes, the more effort it takes to get to the point of release, the less the charge is going to make it to that point, right? The more resistance there is in effect. And the more you can eliminate that resistance in your footwork, the better of a force transfer you can have from your arm coil.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. And if that's not enough to get you on the right track for all this, let me know. I'm happy to break it down in different ways.
Oh, I think that'll be plenty to work on for.
Are other hand positions that a person might use. One of the most common is this, Evil Dragon Claw. And what's rad about Evil Dragon Claw is that it comes through there. And so now you grab the arm, you pull and try to tear the muscle as you come through, and then boom, right into the gooey bits. Generally the liver or the spleen is the target for this one. Baibu, grab the arms, tear, turn, finger strike in. If you want to break from, the mundane fist, you can always stab them with your fingertips because, you have them. They're pointy. Good, couple more. There you go, Rachel. Very nice, little sister. Very nice.